Hey, welcome back to the podcast, Evil Dungeon Masters AD&D Universe Podcast. I'm your host, Evil Dungeon Master Vince. It is Monday, so it's time for a new podcast. Hopefully, you're doing well out there. I know I am. Um, Things are going well. Trying to plan some more videos for the YouTube channel. It's going to take a little bit of time to do that, but today we're going to focus on AD&D. So, ask the DM at theevildm.com is my email address. Theevildm.com is my website where you can sign up. Patreon.com/EvilDM is where you could support me if you want to help out. Been putting up some journal pages from my DM's journal. We got about 4 pages up today since last week. So those at the $2 level and higher can check that out. It's basically me planning for the adventure for basic fantasy or whatever I feel necessary for the games that I'm playing. So I'm trying to put a page up a day as time allows me to sit and write in my journal. A lot of people are liking it, so hopefully you do too. If you want to support me, you get something back just to get a peek of how I do things. Anyway, today we're going to look at a magical item because we haven't looked at a magic item in a little bit, or at least a minute. Ring of Truth, page 93, an unearthed arcana. This ring of truth, there's little doubt that wearing a ring of this nature is a mixed blessing. While any lie told to the wearer is detectable as such by him or her, by the same token, he or she is unable to tell any sort of falsehood. Any attempt to lie results in speaking the literal truth, but in turn, the wearer is able to discern the last prevarication on the part of another. In fact, the voice of the liar rises to a falsetto due to the power of the ring. If the wearer of the ring encounters some magic which enables falsehoods to otherwise be spoken without detection, such as someone under the effects of an undetectable lie spell or a filter of gildness, excuse me, no lie is noticed, but the ring wearer will not hear the voice of the person so enamored, whether or not he or she is trying to listen to. So it really is an interesting magical item that I know it's so basically to sum it up, any lie told is kind of detectable. The wearer cannot really lie, but there's ways around it because I had a story that involves that. I had a player that got his hands on this Ring of Truth one time in a long city based campaign that I had. His idea was simple: put the ring on every NPC that he thought was a threat and asking, "Are you working against us?" And now, if the NPC said no, he figured the ring of protection would protect him from this deception. The problem is it's not really how the ring works, and it doesn't compel someone to tell the truth. It just makes lies more obvious. A smart NPC could still say something technically true and twist the words, avoiding the question. For example, when he interrogated a suspect spy that he thought was going to try to kill them, the NPC answered, "I serve faithfully," meaning his real master, not the player's employer. Now, the ring really didn't detect it because it wasn't really technically a lie. It was just a lie that was different than what answer they wanted. The player argued that since the voice didn't change, it meant the spy was pretty much innocent. So stepping in and putting my, adjudication hat on, the ring, I had to make a ruling. The ring doesn't reveal the whole truth, it only catches falsehoods. So that one ruling forced the players to start thinking about wording and context and who they could really trust. Instead of being a broken lie detector, the Ring of Truth turned into a roleplay tool. The spy plot kept moving forward, and the players had to deal with the fact that even the truth can be misleading. So, as you can see, there are ways to get around how this ring works, and I had to make a ruling based upon that situation with the players and how they were using it. This little magical item definitely could be pretty useful in a campaign when it comes to, um, I guess, playing around and how you want to determine things. I remember another time I had a player in one of my older campaigns way back when. I was probably mm, early 2000s, and I had a player that always, when it became to like magical items, they were just like screw it, and they just started using it because they didn't know. He learned his lesson eventually, but this magical item was the Ring of Truth. He didn't have the ability to identify it, so he just put it on. He tried the usuals of jumping around and, you know, saying fireball, things like that, just to see what the ring would do. And the ring did nothing. So at that point, maybe he thought it was just a fancy ring. And he would wear it because it looked cool and everything. I kind of did some rolls to see if his character would think it was cool based on his background. Let him roll percentile. And I said, because he wanted to know if he thought his character would think it was cool looking. I was just like, well, that's really up to you. It's your character. I described it as a fancy ring of gold, and it had maybe like a little studded gem on it, and had some, maybe little leaf designs on it and everything, and it looked kind of cool. And I said, well, does your character think that's cool? And he really was like, I guess maybe. So I said, just roll percentile. There you go. 50% chance. If, above 50, yes. 50 and below, no. So he rolled up 70 something. I don't remember the exact number. It was a higher number. So I'm like, then your character thinks it's cool. He puts it, he keeps it on his ring. I said, when you look on it on your hand, you're like, yeah, this is badass. So his character walked around with his ring. Now, he didn't know what the ring did, and at this point didn't even care. And it kind of sat there on him. And since the ring really doesn't do much as far as other than, uh, protecting the lies and everything, sorry, revealing lies, I just let it sit there on his finger until it came to the time when he was speaking to a king. They were in a situation where they were talking to an evil king, and they were somewhat captured, and he wanted some answers. And, they were talking as NPCs. I'm sorry, they were talking out of character to each other, saying that they were going to lie. So this is when I remembered, the ring is still there. Aha. He always wore it because he thought it was cool. Well, I did roll a chance to see if maybe the guards would take it away as part of, taking equipment away, but they didn't. I did a fair roll. I always do that when it comes to guards and stuff like that. When people get captured in the campaign, I roll to see if the guards would notice certain things. Like, oh, that ring is on his hand. Maybe that's magical. Let's take it off of him. No, they didn't care. So he goes before the king, and the king's questioning him, and they all agreed to lie. And I send him a little side message on a piece of paper as he's lying, and I'm saying, guess what? The ring that is now on your hand is forcing you to tell the truth. Well, anytime you say something that is false is making you literally speak in a weird tone. Now, your character doesn't know it's the ring doing this. You just know that when you're telling your lie or falsehood, you are your voice is cracking, it's getting higher, it doesn't sound believable, and it doesn't matter what you do, clear your throat, stop for a moment and refocus. Every time you talk about something that is not the truth, you have some really noticeable tick about it. And the player went, I could see it on his face as he read the note, and he went, I could hear him say, son of a. But he was cool. He played it off and played the whole thing, and everyone in the group's like, what's the matter with you? Why are you talking like that? And he's like, I don't know. And he played it off just like you would see one of those TV shows when someone's, under a magic spell, or, maybe it's one of those fantasy shows, there's something weird happening or whatever. And his voice was cracking and stuff like that because he couldn't really uh, tell a lie. So he started figuring out, well, maybe I could tell half truths. So I said, okay. So instead of telling the exactly what the king wanted to hear, he kind of twisted it around in different ways so that what he was saying was what the king wanted to hear, but it really wasn't the whole truth. So his voice still somewhat cracked based on what he was saying. Sometimes it would come out normal. I would definitely rule on depending on how he was saying it. And you don't have to be a perfect role player in these situations. You just tell me what you want to say to the king out of character as well. And then we'll determine from there how this works. And I just thought it was interesting that he played along with it. And then they got thrown in jail until the king could figure out what he wanted to do with them. And they would question him, like the group was questioning him. Why did you know? Why'd you tell him all that stuff? And what's wrong with you? Why is your voice? And he's just like, I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with me. And he was playing it off really well until I had him do some kind of like roles to remember that he had the ring on his hand. And it took a little while, but he eventually figured out that the ring on his hand was the reason why he was unable to continue to lie. Now, once he figured this out and took the ring off of his finger, he realized that the power of him, because he tried to lie and stuff like that after that, and everything was fine. So he realized it was a ring that was doing this. So he got it identified as the Ring of Truth, and he got the magic user told him exactly what the ring was able to do. And from there, that's when they started using it in different ways for the ring's power. But it was an interesting episode. It was an interesting game that we had played, and I had a lot of fun with that scene with him role playing. And he would sometimes role play raising his voice up or something as he was telling the truth, quote unquote. So it was a fun time. So there's different ways you can use this ring, and hopefully you out there have some ideas for me. Let me know what you think in the comments about this. I'm interested to hear. It's in Unearthed Arcana, page 93, bottom right. It's about 1,000 experience points for this ring. So I don't know. I think it's a cool item. Well, with that said, I think I'm going to head out. Don't forget to check out youtube.com/theevildm or head over to patreon.com/theevildm if you want to support me and check out the journal pages that are going up as a reward. Anything can help out. With that said, I'm going to head out. Keep it original, keep it old school. Good night, and God bless everyone.